100% known by everyone who works on this report. They know that they have changed these criteria from year to year, and that makes it so that it's not useful for comparing year to year. But they decided to make those changes in the ways they were doing the report for other reasons, which I'm not going to pretend to understand. Like, I kind of wish they hadn't, but there were all these kids that they weren't including, and like the cutoffs were arbitrary, and so maybe let's just include all of the data.
Okay, he's read these studies, and I haven't. Are we all following what he's saying so far? One of the reasons why you have to be careful when you cite, if some scientific study is conducted and they're trying to measure some variable, right? And the study is built around that variable. Generally speaking, good researchers will warn against, or I mean, I don't even know if they warn it. They just, you shouldn't do this. They'll have to come out and talk later. You don't usually want to take those studies and try to measure some other variable that the study wasn't designed to measure, because there might be a whole bunch of reasons why that study is inadequate in measuring said variable. A really popular example of this was there was some trans study that got cherry picked. I wish I could remember, but it has something to do with like conservatives try to take this study to show that like if trans people got care, it didn't actually decrease their rates of suicidality at all or something. But that study wasn't measuring that. And the way that they accounted for that, it was something like if a trans person had ever felt suicidal at all in their life, if they'd received care or something, and so they were like, oh, well, the people that all got trans health care all had felt suicidal at some point, therefore they had a higher percentage, therefore after getting care, they had a higher percentage too, but that wasn't what it was measuring basically. Something like that. The researchers themselves showed up, I think, on Reddit, and they might have done a couple interviews afterwards, like criticizing Ben Shapiro because he loved to lean into that study to try to prove that point. But when Hank here talks about how he's not sure why these people started including data that would skew heavily in favor of saying that like more people or a higher percentage were diagnosed with autism or whatever, my guess is going to be is because the researchers, whoever are publishing these things, never intended for somebody to take, oh my God, I'm sure by 1,600, never intended for somebody to take this data and to try to like compile it in the way that the HHS is now to try to sell us this idea that autism rates are dramatically increasing or something. They probably just never intended for that to happen. You can always take, how people say like you can find a study for anything. It's not really that you can find a study for anything. It's that you can lie with numbers for anything if you really want to. And that sounds like what's going on here. Yeah.
Let's work instead to increase